Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Conversations with Camden. I'm Matt Trapp. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions here at Camden Military Academy, and tonight we're focusing on our seniors. So we are wrapping up the year, getting towards the end of the year. So tonight we're going to talk to some of the guys who have, come in at different times to CMA and have a lot of different backstories coming in, but kind of a commonality in it that they're, coming out and starting their lives and pursuing things after their time at Camden. So remember, during these events, we want it to be very interactive. So comment live on the YouTube, or you can use the hashtag Camden Military Academy on any of our social media platforms. So Facebook, Twitter, you can even snap us questions. So again, we love for it to be interactive. We want this to be a very informational session. So please ask any questions. And like I said, we're going to focus on seniors. But if you've got a question about Camden Military Academy, admissions, life here as a cadet, any questions you want to ask, like I said, just comment directly or, again, reach out to us on any of our social media platforms. So without further ado, I'm going to get us started and let our cadets kind of introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about how long they've been here, where they're from, and, the grade they're in now. So we've got three of them with us here tonight. And I'm going to start off with Mr. Giuliano. So, Giuliano, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and just give us a little background on you.
All right. Hello, everyone. I am Captain Giuliano. I've been at Camden Military for about 3 years now. I live in Lewis, Delaware, so I come far away, and great to have me.
Yep, and Giuliano is a third-year cadet with us, so he'll be able to talk about that a little bit. I want to drop down and talk to a fourth-year cadet that we have, Mr. Austin Parrish. He's been with us since ninth grade. So, Parrish, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, bud?
Well, as stated before, it is my fourth year here. Been here since ninth grade. I live in Texas right now, and I'm excited to graduate.
Very good. Yeah, and I can remember Parrish his first year. I was actually teaching at the time, so I taught him his first year, and I'm glad to see he's made it to his senior year, and we'll talk about what he's got planned in his future a little bit later on. All right, last but certainly not least, Cadet Bondar. You're a second year cadet with us here, so tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Hey, it's my second year here, and I'm from Chicago, Illinois. And I'm very happy I made the switch from public schools to come here.
Very good. And we'll talk about that a little bit too. We're actually going to dive right into it. So, guys, I'm going to ask you, get a little bit personal, but let's start talking about, you guys have made it to your senior year, which in itself is a huge accomplishment. You've done something that, other students and other guys your age have probably not done. So, Giuliano, I'm going to go back to you. I just want to know, let's compare Giuliano 4 years ago or 3 years ago when you first started here to the Giuliano now. What lessons have you learned? What core values that we try to instill in you? What have you taken away or what have you gotten out of Camden in your time here?
Well, back in public school, it was my freshman year. I was going into high school thinking I was going to do great. And maybe about the first 3 days, I started failing all my classes. I would hang out with my friends instead of doing my homework. I would do things I wasn't really supposed to do. So I decided I needed a little more structure. So I started to make the switch to Camden. And immediately, maybe like a month in, my grades started to raise. I went from an F and D student to about an A and a B student. I always had trouble in public school, mainly because of my dyslexia, my learning disability. So it's been hard to sit in a classroom of 30 when I could go to Camden and be in a classroom of 4 and get one-on-one time with the teacher, which I really enjoy about. But I think one of the main core values that I've learned from Camden has to be time management. Because I remember when I was at home, I would never have the time to either do my homework or clean my room or go hang out with the friends, or be able to do this and that in sports. I think at Camden, my day is very structured. I wake up at 6. There's time to do my homework at study hall. There's a set time to go to class. There's a set time to do your sports. There's a set time for everything. So on your schedule every day. And that's kind of how I learned time management here.
Very good. And that's always good to hear. Especially a lot of our guys struggle with the same thing, rather it's academics or some behavior issues or, something as simple as just not getting up in the morning to go to school or, not doing your homework at night. So that's always good to hear. And I can speak to that too. I've seen Giuliano in the classroom. I've taught him and I can tell you that leaps and bounds from when he first got here to his senior year. So Giuliano, thanks for sharing. I'm going to pass that question over to Cadet Bondar. So I'm going to ask you kind of the same thing. Let's compare yourself when you first got here to where you are now. What have you learned from Camden, and what has Camden helped you improve upon? Rather that's academics, behavior. What has been the major things that you've taken away from your time here at Camden?
So I came to Camden my junior year, and before that, I was not very productive. My first year of high school, freshman year, I was pretty okay, but then I went to sophomore year and I was slipping up, doing things I shouldn't do, and I just wasn't working. I didn't have any structure, and I would say I was too lazy to make structure for myself. My parents caught on to that, and then they decided to send me here. And of course, at first I was hesitant. When I got here, I realized, all right, I might as well make the best of it. And I've done things I could not imagine I would do back in public school. There's a lot of time with the teachers. There's tutorial time in the middle of the class days and after school. Every teacher I've had makes time for after school if you need extra help. And before in public high school, I would take one college class and I would struggle. Here, I'm taking 4 college classes a semester and I'm doing fine on all of them. So leaps of improvement.
Very good. Yeah. And that's, your senior year, I know you're pretty stacked with college classes and you have been. And we'll talk about that too, some more about, the dual enrollment options that we have for, our 11th and 12th grade students. And then especially our seniors who've taken advantage of those. And I think all the seniors that we have on here tonight actually have taken advantage of those. So Parrish, same question for you. The Parrish, you've been with us basically the entirety of your high school career. So 9th grade Parrish compared to senior Parrish. What have you taken away, and what have been the things that you've learned most and gotten out of Camden?
One thing I'm very lucky to have is I didn't really have my freshman year, my mistakes I could have had in my freshman year, and just not being here to start with. I think it was a good choice by my parents to start me off here. As I did start off here for the first 2 years, I had to stay here. I did choose to come back my junior and senior year. I realized they were correct in all their gripes with me, as I wasn't really the type to just sit down, focus on something, do my work all the time. I would do good on tests and quizzes in school, but I wouldn't do good on homework. My grades started to slip due to that portion mainly. And I think just overall, me being here for the 4 years gave me the true experience. It let me go through all the different levels, no real skipping, getting ahead of anyone in my grade or anything. But one of the things that gave me a great advantage coming in my freshman year is for leadership opportunities and different clubs and various activities I've done at this school so far. A lot of them started off my freshman year, starting as a member and getting to know everybody, learn everyone. By the time my junior and senior year, teachers that I never met knew who I was. They heard good things from other teachers, and just in general, I just felt like it was a place, a real community I belonged. With only 300 of us, even less teachers, but a good ratio between. It really made me feel connected to everyone.
Very good. And one thing too, a good point that you brought up, Parrish, is you said, activities and leadership opportunities and kind of staying involved. So we had a question come in from Mr. Armstrong, and he was asking about activities at the school, activities, clubs, sports. So, Giuliano, I know that you are, very active, and you actually went out on a limb and tried out football. So kind of talk about some of the activities we offer here, some you've taken advantage of, and kind of what fills your day here at Camden.
Okay, so my sophomore year of high school, I was very afraid to join clubs. I didn't know if I would, let's say, make the team. But here at Camden, they have a no-cut policy, so every kid will play, every boy will play, which I love about Camden. I tried football, and I remember playing it my sophomore year and maybe getting in once or twice, and I was not good. But I made a determination to start on my senior year. And I talked to the coaches, and I was like, "Sir, is there anyone I can help?" And he would train me on the field. I'd do good, and I started as a linebacker my senior year. But there are definitely clubs out there that you can pursue. Like we have the chess club, we have the debate team, we have even Boy Scouts you could try out, and all those are teacher-led. So a lot of our teachers and coaches, they teach here at Camden, so you don't just have that connection with them on the field or on the court. You have that connection with them in the classroom as well, which I love. I love that. But I also play tennis. I've been playing tennis ever since I was 7, and the sports and clubs here, we do really well. I know the tennis team we're going to states. I know the soccer team is probably going to states this year. So we're definitely doing good in some sports. And I know our chess club is doing really good. And I've heard great things about the debate team. I haven't done the debate team, but I do want to try it before I leave.
There you go. And, I just want to that point, your senior year, not a lot of other public schools or private schools, would give you the opportunity to play football your senior year. If you hadn't taken advantage of that in your 9th, 10th, and 11th grade year, very rarely would you have been able to play for your senior year. So, being able to have that experience is one of the things that we offer here that's a lot different from other schools. Another good question that just came in. So Rachel from Facebook asked, what are the teachers like here at CMA? So that's a great question. And I'm going to pass that over to Mr. Parrish, since you are our longest cadet that's been here, and you probably had just about every teacher here at some point or another. So, talk about the teachers here at CMA and maybe compare them to, I know you didn't have any high school teachers, but, middle school teachers you've had in the past, how are they different?
Well, in middle school, I had teachers. They weren't very interactive. I had rooms of about 25, 35 students. And within those rooms, 35 students, there wasn't really a lot of one-on-one time or availability out of the classroom, or there wasn't really a set time you can come see them to really, if you didn't really understand what was going on, you're kind of lost. Here, if you don't understand something, you can ask for more help. We have a designated time every single school day, 20 or so minutes, that you can go see teachers that you're struggling with. And each time they are always open to helping you. They'll help you with, for example, math. You need help with more equations, where you need to work with equations. You didn't do good on a test, so go walk through what issues you had and tell you how to fix those for the next time. In all subjects and all varying issues. They'll also, if you go into tutorials and really ask for help, and they see you're really giving that real drive, if you're missing that 1 or 2 points to that A, they might just boost you up, help you that one last step to go further. The teachers there are always kind. They're always courteous. They know if you know that they're struggling a little bit, they'll maybe slow down the lesson as a general thing, instead of just having you set aside and just show that you need your help and that it might be embarrassing for others. But here it's more shown as a good thing, in a sense of you getting help, you're furthering yourself, you're putting that little bit more effort in.
That's right. And one thing here, we have very interactive learning with our teachers, small class sizes, 12-to-1 ratio with students to teachers. And that gives students the extra confidence that the class sizes are they're not getting lost in the classes, but also if they need to ask a question, it's not like they're putting their hand up with 30 other guys in the class. You've got 10 other students in there with you. You have more confidence to ask questions and get that little extra bit of help. And teachers here, I can tell you we've got a great faculty here. We've got great teachers, and they really care about the students. And I'm actually going to piggyback for that question. Mr. Bondar, you've taken advantage of quite a few college classes here and currently taking college classes. So we've got some professors here on campus that manage the college classes and instruct the curriculum. So how does that help having a college class and taking, that level of a class? How does it help to have a teacher who does help you out a little extra, or you can feel like you can ask more questions in class? How has that benefited you?
It helps a lot, especially with confidence with myself. Before I came here, I didn't really think of myself as like someone who could take college classes. Thought I was like not really cut out for that. But when I came here, I tried out some college classes, and I think the first one I tried was criminal justice with Captain Davis, and amazing teacher. Always puts out time for the students. Very professional, always lists like a study guide and everything. Everything's very organized and planned. I'm never confused with any of my any of my college classes, whether it be English or history. Everything's laid out very well, and it's just a very good environment that helped me show that I can do more than what I thought before. And with all the time that they give, like in class and after class or in tutorial during the school day, sometimes you can even see them before school starts. It's all very helpful.
Right. And going back to our faculty, they're going to set that time aside, especially for our college students and, taking those dual enrollment classes. They know these guys are in that harder level class and those upper level classes. So they are going to set that time aside. And I always brag on our faculty members. They are just, they're willing to put in the effort for your son. Another good question that came in. So this is a good one. It's coming in as I'm coming in as a 7th grader, but really this question can be applied to any student coming into CMA. So what kind of advice would you give a student coming in? Rather that be a student who's coming in as a 7th grader or a student who's coming in as a 9th grader, or at whatever level they may be coming in at. What would be a piece of advice? And I'm going to ask Cadet Giuliano about this one. What would be a piece of advice you would give a cadet who's coming into CMA, what to expect, and the advice you'd give him?
Definitely some advice I could give a new cadet is what you put into CMA is what you're going to get out of CMA. That's kind of what I had a hard time processing in my mind my first year. I would always say, man, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't want to join sports. I don't want to do my homework. And then slowly, maybe second semester of my sophomore year, I kind of learned that maybe I should start doing things. Maybe I should start trying to do a leadership role, doing my job. Maybe I should start going out, trying clubs, trying sports. But if you put a bad attitude into CMA, you're going to get a bad reflection on it, and that you're just going to get a bad outcome, and it's just not going to get any better. Nothing's going to get better. The days are going to feel long. You're not going to make any friends. But if you go out and you try for clubs and you try to make new friends and you try to have a good time and you try to learn in the classroom, you try to do good at sports, the days will go by faster. You'll have a better time here at CMA and you'll learn a lot more stuff. So I think you need to put what you get out of CMA. That's definitely a big thing I tell a new cadet.
Very much so. And I always tell students coming in when I do tours on campus with parents and cadets alike, that's my biggest piece of advice. We're big in involvement here. And the more you can be involved and the more you come in with a positive mindset and you take advantage of everything that we offer here, the better your time will be. So piggybacking on that too, I got a question from Mr. Brisson on how do you get to church and how many cadets attend church. So this is a good one. This kind of falls under the activities we have on campus. So we do have a chapel on campus. All of our cadets have mandatory chapel on Sundays right here on campus. One thing I always get asked from parents is, well, can we ever come to chapel with them? Yes, 100%. If you would like to come to chapel with him one Sunday to visit him and enjoy a church session with him, that's perfectly fine. It's a non-denominational church. We've got our headmaster or our chaplain delivering a service to the guys every Sunday. We offer off-campus churches too. So, for example, if your son is a certain denomination, whether that's, Methodist or Presbyterian or Baptist. We have various faculty members attend off-campus church, and your son can go to those off-campus churches. So we have transportation to get him there, but if he does not attend that, they'll attend church right here on campus in our chapel. So another question that we got, this one was referencing dual enrollment classes. We do have a list of dual enrollment classes, and we have some on our website too that you can take a look at. And if you have questions about that or want to, kind of go into that a little bit more, I would be more than happy to talk to you about that, and we could get in touch with you about all the enrollment classes that we offer. I will tell you it's about 52 college credit hours that you can achieve if you do all of our dual enrollment courses here at Camden. All right, so let's talk about campus life a little bit here on the YouTube Live, going kind of back to activities and how life is here on campus, because I did get a question about that that popped up. So let's just talk about, Parrish, take me through a day in the life of a cadet. How is it from when you get up in the morning to the end of the day? Just kind of tell me about, hit the highlights of it and kind of how your days here at Camden Military.
Well, as a leader, my day is a little bit different, but I'm going to go through more of a sense of when I was a freshman, going through it as a first year, just trying to figure out how things all worked. So at about 6 a.m., you're called into a hallway formation. This is to make sure everyone's there, everyone's accounted for, everyone's awake. After that, you have 15 minutes to go get dressed in what the uniform of the day is, and also to make your bed. Making your bed first. It's always a good thing to make your bed in the morning first. I feel more awake. I feel more energetic as the day goes on. After I wake up, first thing, get wide awake, making my bed, just trying to get through, get fully dressed, and go back in the hallway. You get an inspection of your uniform to make sure everything is correct. Everything is good. After that, you go back inside your room. You have about 30 minutes to make sure you get your room to inspection level. Basically just cleaning your room, make sure everything's tidy, make sure the floor is vacuumed, trash taken out, everything's presented nice and neatly. After that, you have your room inspection at about 6:45. Then you are back inside your room for 15 minutes, just recuperating, finishing up some homework from the night before, studying a little bit, being on your phone, talking to people, just a little bit of your own free time in the morning. Also, once it's 7 o'clock, we all leave together to go to breakfast. We march over to the dining hall. At the dining hall, we have a formation. When we enter the dining hall, we eat all together as a group. We talk amongst ourselves. And after that, we leave the dining hall. Depending on the day of the week, it'll be a PT session, a LET session, which is a leadership education training, which is our military classroom time. Also, it could be just tack time or general drill, or we'll go back to the barracks, just have free time for a little bit inside your rooms, or we'll do some drill and practicing. Also, in these mornings, once we head back to the barracks, usually around half an hour before classes start. We have a good cleaning of the barracks, make sure they're all good and clean. We have our bags packed to make sure we have everything ready for the school. About 9:20, we leave the barracks to go to class, which starts at 9:30 in the morning. While we go through the day, the first through third periods, depending Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or any other day of the week, you'll have a different time period for a tutorial. Tutorial session is the time to talk to your teachers, get your extra help that you really need, and just really get your full grasp of the topic. After that, you head back to the barracks and you get over to lunch. There's lots of different meals to eat and that we get fed. We don't have the same thing every single day. Every single day of the week, we go through a cycle of different meals, different times. Mostly there's a brand new meal you never had about once a month. We go through a brand new meal and see how it is. And normally meals are more chosen based on how cadets like them. They're not really just chosen to be chosen. After lunch, we head back to the barracks to go to our 4th, 5th, and 6th period classes. Once we go to our afternoon classes, we head back to the barracks. After we head back to that barracks for that time, you either on free time, or if you do a sport, you go to your sport practices, as this is a time designated for that. If you do not do sports, you have intramurals, which are group activities like flag football, kickball, soccer, and frisbee. or ultimate frisbee. After you do that, you will go back to your barracks, get prepared for the evening meal. Make sure you're dressed again, back into your uniform. During your free time, you can wear whatever you like within regulations. Then you go to dinner. Once we're done with dinner, we head back to the barracks again. At your barracks, you then get prepared for study hall. Study hall starts at 7:30 and ends at 9 o'clock. Is an hour 30 minutes of time designated to do studying. It's time for you to get your homework done, get your assignments done, get your studying. While this time is happening, there is a teacher in the barracks. If you have any issue with your assignments, for example, math, reading, science, history, they can really help you get to know what your problems are, and it can really assist you into getting what you need done in that studying period. After that, we have our own room recall. During that time period, it's about 30 minutes. After study hall, it's time to take a shower, to play sports, get your hygiene done, and get just ready for bed. At 9:45, this door is cracked, and doors cracked, lights out. That's whenever you're in a room, your door is cracked. You check, make sure everyone's there, and you go to bed. Just so you can start the next day at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yep. And there you have it. That is a day in the life of a cadet. So, one of the things that we're big on here is structure. So days will look very similar. Weekends, a little more free time, depending on the weekend. Sometimes we do hold Saturday classes on the weekends and certain events. If they have a cadet challenge or, a Saturday morning inspection, that could change it up a little bit. But, more than anything, it's going to be very similar. And that's what we're big on. We're big on structure. And so that's a part of it. I do think that Parrish answered some of the questions we had too, as far as the lunchroom service. And then also we had another question about what free time looks like. Free time in the afternoon after the academic day, it's going to be just that. Sports practice is taking place. Intramural sports, if they're not playing sports, a lot of clubs meet at this time. This is also a time that if you need to go talk to your teacher or you need some extra academic help, you can do that. So although we call it free time, that kind of depends on you. If you're an athlete, you're going to be practicing sports. If you're in trouble, you're going to be walking pad. And if you've just got free time, you can enjoy all the good things we have here on campus. There was a good question that came in from Michelle talking about furloughs. So furloughs for us are times that cadets can leave campus. So you do have a couple of those built into the school year, which means that you can go home. They can leave that Friday at the conclusion of classes, and they don't have to be back until that Sunday afternoon. So these furlough weekends, parents, you can come get your son, pick him up, take him home. We can also get him to the airport to fly him home. So if you guys are further away, which I think you mentioned, that might be a weekend that, if you guys plan on trying to get him home, you can. Now, the flip side of that is, yes, they can stay on campus. That is perfectly fine. Usually on any given furlough weekend, we've got about half of our cadet corps that stays on campus, and that's no problem. We have faculty members, TAC officers, they'll all be on campus. Those weekends, if it's an optional furlough, for the guys that stay on campus, it's going to be a little more relaxed, a little more kicked back. We're not going to punish them because they didn't get to go home, or we're not going to make them do anything extra. They'll have a lot of free time on their own, have some time to sleep in if they want to, but definitely they can stay here on campus, and they'll have a lot of guys on campus with them. So this is another good one too. Kind of following up with that is what the barracks look like, or the living quarters. So the living quarters and the barracks that we have on campus, we've got about 50 to 60 students in each, or 50 to 60 cadets in each. They're set up 7th through 12th grade, because you'll have your seniors, which I'll let them talk a little bit about their leadership in their barracks, in their particular barracks. But you'll have certain age students that have cadet rank, which means they've been given leadership opportunities. Now, roommates are no more than a year in difference of age. We try to put them with a similar age cadet. If it's not the same age, again, it's going to be just a year in difference of age. So one thing I want to talk about while we're on that, especially talking about seniors here, if you notice that on their uniforms, the guys in parade uniform, they've got various rankings, they've got various ribbons. So I want to talk about that a little bit. But Giuliano, I want you to talk about some of the leadership roles that you've been given here at CMA, especially coming into your senior year. That's when you're probably going to be given the most responsibility. So, tell me about how you earned that, how you're handling doing it now, and again, what rank you have and what responsibilities come with that.
I remember my sophomore year, I got ranked up from private to PFC, private first class, at the beginning of winter break. Then I came back from winter break and I ended my sophomore year as a corporal. I ranked up to corporal, and then I started my junior year as a corporal. And winter break just began, and I became a sergeant. And actually, I moved into the position of a platoon sergeant, which is underneath the platoon leader that manages about 23 cadets each hallway. Then I left sergeant, and beginning my senior year, I was made a second LT for 1st Platoon and Alpha Company. I ran about 23 to 38 cadets in my platoon. I made sure their beds were squared away every morning. I made sure they were doing the right thing. If they needed help with homework, I'd help them with homework. If they needed someone to talk to, I was always there to help. And then I got ranked up to captain because I help out with Coach Trapp. I help him with the social media stuff. Maybe some of y'all have seen me on social media stuff, but I am the S5, so I help out with social media and videos we post and making sure we can get the right contact to all of you guys and make sure we can get new cadets next year.
Very good. And again, most of the seniors here have achieved some kind of rank, and that comes in the form of being a company commander or being, again, a sergeant or a platoon sergeant or something like that. We give them the responsibility if they can prove to us that they can handle it. And it's also theirs to lose. So once they have it, it's there for them until they lose it. One thing I will say too is if you look, all of these senior guys, they've been with us for 3-4 years. They've been with us here for a while, and they were in the same shoes at one point in time as your son will be coming in. So he's nervous. He doesn't really know what to expect. And he sees somebody who, like Captain Giuliano or Captain Parrish, he can go to them, ask them questions. Hey, how did you deal with this certain thing? Or how did you overcome this obstacle? They're there for leadership opportunities, are there for tutoring and mentoring and helping guys come in. So Giuliano, thank you for sharing how you achieved your rank and kind of what you're doing with it right now. So we actually had a tweet come in. Justin from Twitter asked us about discipline at CMA. So discipline at CMA comes in a couple of various forms, but I will pass this one over. I do want to let Cadet Bondar, I'm going to let you talk about discipline a little bit. So, we've got Pad. Of course, all of you guys here on the live with me tonight will perk up when you hear the term Pad, but we've also got detention, regular detention. We've got some other things that can be disciplinary measures, but Cadet Bondar, why don't you talk about, a little bit of the discipline here at Camden Military, and let's talk about what is PAD and how do you get it?
So there's a couple ways of discipline, and PAD is the one that's most usually dished out. PAD is after school, instead of having free time to do what you would want to do, you report to a large field about 4 o'clock on the weekdays, and then on the weekends I would say 2 o'clock, and you march on a big field for a couple of hours. They'll give you water breaks and bathroom breaks if you need it, but the whole purpose of PAD, from what I see it, is you messed up and now you're going to be marching the field to kind of reflect. I mean, you don't have anything else to do out there but walk and sit in your own thoughts. I was on PAD last year for a week, and yeah, I quickly got out of it. It was 1 week, and then I said, nope, that's never happening again, and it hasn't since. Because it really gives you time to sit with yourself and think, and you would much rather be doing anything else, like is working out or playing sports or just relaxing. So that is usually something best to avoid. And then detention is usually given to if you act up in class or you're missing too much homework, anything school related, and that will happen from 3:30 to 4. And if you have detention and PAD, you'll report to both. And some discipline that's not detention or PAD could be in the barracks. In the barracks, discipline is usually standing in the hallway. This is usually done as a platoon or maybe individual. You'll stand in a hallway at a position, attention, or parade rest for about 5-10 minutes. So a lot of the punishment here is to really for you to sit and think about your own actions and what can I do from now. And they just don't punish you and then expect you to like, all right, you're gonna handle yourself. If you want to talk to the tag officer who gave you the punishment, they will. They'll explain to you why you got this, why they felt this amount of time was necessary. And for me and from what I've seen, everything seems fair. Um, and they'll help you understand blah blah blah, and they'll help you do better in the future to avoid those decisions. Um, I myself, like me, I got 1 week, and then I talked to my tag officer about it. He helped me out. Never been on pad since. And I've seen that happen to other people, and they do give you room to grow. You just have to show that you want to put in the effort to learn from your mistakes, and they'll help you.
Very good. And that's what I always students coming in, parents alike, no consequence we have here is unfair, and it always fits whatever the student has done. And again, that's I always tell them, if you can take the criticism and you can take the consequence and accept that you're the one who did wrong, and so these are the consequences for your actions, you move on from it. And I've got a panel full of seniors here, and I can promise you there's not one of them that has not done a little time on pad. I can promise you. So, but they've, just like Cadet Vondar just said, you know, he moved on from it. He's made his mistake. He took his punishment, and, you know, hasn't been on it since. So I think that's just a good life lesson that we try to instill in these guys. So another question came in. This is a good one, kind of going back from Miss Paris, talking about how many cadets are in a room. All of the rooms are two-man rooms. So we have the barracks, again, hold about 50 to 60 guys, but all the rooms are roommates. So you have two-man rooms, bunk beds, kind of set up like a college dorm. We've got on our website, we have a really cool virtual tour. You can take a look into some of the rooms, see what they look like. Also, just one thing, you can always schedule a time to come in, do a tour. I'll take you around campus, show you into the rooms. But again, they're set up very, very much so like a college dorm. So it kind of gives them, like I said, the opportunity to meet somebody they might not have ever met from their little corner of the world, and live with them, get to know them, and make a friend for a lifetime. So that's kind of how the rooms are set up. And like I said, no more than an age difference. We try to put them with someone who is exactly their same age and actually shares some of the interests too. So one thing I want to do now is I do want to bring it back, kind of talking to our seniors and kind of on the topic of seniors. So let's talk about plans after Camden Military Academy. So Giuliano, let's talk about what you were planning on. And we were talking a little bit earlier today that you were thinking about possibly becoming a teacher. So how's it looking in the future for you, and what's your plans after you graduate from CMA?
So I'm going to be attending the University of Elon in North Carolina. My major is going to be education. I'm going to be focusing on math. Definitely, I feel like we need more male teachers in the world. I feel like the teaching system here, we have a lot of female teachers, so I feel like we need a lot more male teachers, and that's going to kind of thrive to do. I've always worked with little kids and kids my age, and I've worked with kids all sort of with disabilities, learning disabilities, ADHD. I've worked with all those kind of kids. I even work at the YMCA as a camp counselor on summer. And I've always connected with kids way better than I've connected with adults. I remember even here at CMA, some of the little kids, the 7th and 8th graders, I have an open door policy. So any cadet, whether they're 7th and 8th grade or they're a junior or a senior, they can always come talk to me. They, at any point in time of the day, if they need to talk to me, they just have to knock on my door and ask. And I'll shut the door. We get a private one-on-one conversation about what's going on in their life, about how I can help, what I can do to make it better. But yes, I want to become a teacher, and hopefully I could teach kids the discipline that I learned and the respect I can give to people, and maybe learn and give them the knowledge that I got from Camden.
Very good. And that's a good thing to pursue. And I can't agree with you more as far as, you know, one thing that we have here is we have a lot of good male role models. And sometimes that goes leaps and bounds with students here. They come into Camden and starts out that maybe that's not what they think they needed, but find out it's exactly what they needed. So having a good male role model to look up to is invaluable, and that's just a test of that from Giuliano. I did have a question come in about one thing that we mentioned or have mentioned during this is a TAC officer. So TAC officer, I'm going to actually let one of our cadets talk about it and let them know how they've kind of impacted them. So TAC officer, I will tell you this before I pass the question over. It's a retired NCO, so non-commissioned officer out of the Army. And we have them here, and they're basically the main supervisor in the barracks and kind of work with the students. They mentor. That's kind of their main thing. So I'm going to let Cadet Parrish kind of elaborate on that a little bit more. So Parrish, tell us about your TAC officers and the experience you've had with them since you've been here at Camden Military, and how they've impacted your life.
Well, I've had three or so TACs come in due to just as they get the TACs are that come in year to year, choose to come back if they will. They are retired United States military personnel, in a sense of you've gone through the experience of the Army, they have retired from the Army, and they've decided out of their good graces to come here to continue teaching the young men here and mentoring them. As I've had a Sergeant Major Ernkoff, who has worked here for 20 or some years. He has mentored me throughout my 4 years here. He's taught me how to hold restraint, how to lead, how to be authoritative at times, and how to lean back at times. He's taught me just how to be a leader in the sense of more or less be a people's person, help out with everyone, help build a chain of command. As I am my company commander, I have to work with my group to make sure we're all working together as best as we can, though we do have our faults at times. We do have our holes. It's my job kind of to bring us all back together to work. Also, I have one of my TACs, Sergeant Gallagher. He's more a people person. Sergeant Major's not a lot of people really get him unless you're on a COC. Sergeant Gallagher is more of a people person. He helps us a lot. He teaches us to be more be a person that we want to be. Help us to work harder for our goals, as he's in depth and in focus with our goals and helping us to further them. As he does want us to work as a team, as a whole company, make us work as a team. We do many sport activities on Fridays and Saturday nights. We all get together on the parade field, play flag football, play kickball as a group. It's a lot of fun. We all get to work together as a company. We all work with each other, maybe a platoon versus platoon, build that true brotherhood within us.
Very good. And thank you, Parrish, for telling me about what a TAC officer is and also your experience with them, because you guys know it more than anybody. That's the person that you've had the most interaction with and you've built relationships with. And that's a neat thing here, watching that relationship build, especially when they first get here, because, I know that Giuliano, your TAC officer, First Sergeant Hunter, he is a big guy. So, kind of seeing him at first glance could be very intimidating, but once you get to know him, he's an absolutely great guy, and I'm sure that he's given you a lot of life lessons. Speaking of that, I want to piggyback on that last part of that sentence is, what is a life lesson or even something you've learned here that you probably would not have learned in public school or even another private school? What's something that Camden Military Academy has given you that you wouldn't have learned outside of that? And Giuliano, I want to pass this one back over to you. What's something that CMA has given you that you wouldn't have had the opportunity to learn or do at another school?
Well, I think something that Camden has taught me is respect. Let me take you back to maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I was a freshman in high school. I remember my mom would always tell me, "Oh, you should respect the adults." And I'd say, "No, I don't respect any of them. I don't care. I don't care what they have to say. I'm smarter. I know what I'm going to do. I know this, I know that." And I just thought I knew everything. But coming to Camden, they teach you that you're still young, you still have a lot to learn. There's definitely ways to improve and respect. And you always have to respect adults. And that's kind of what CMA taught me. Not even just to respect adults, but to respect people, respect your friends, respect your teammates, your your teachers, faculty members, veterans, your parents, your siblings, basically anyone that lives on planet Earth, you should respect, because one thing I learned is that you're not going to get respect if you don't earn respect. And that's kind of what it took me a long time to realize, is that I need to give someone respect if they want to give me respect. It's basically saying, if I want to get this out of something, I should treat someone how they want to be treated. That's kind of what I learned.
Very good. And I think that's, again, invaluable lessons that you wouldn't have had the chance, especially somewhere else, that they don't really hark on that too much or not as much. And I think, Giuliano, again, that's things you can take into your life. So I want to ask Cadet Bondar, I want to ask you the same question. What is something that Camden Military Academy has taught you, or a life lesson that you can take and kind of moving into your next year in college and even your future career path, maybe that you've learned at Camden that maybe that opportunity wouldn't have been given to you anywhere else?
I would say the structure. Before coming here, I had no structure in my life. It was kind of just wake up, and that's just how the day would go. I'd do what came to my mind, and I never really had a plan or organized my thoughts on, I'll do this day and this that day. This place has showed me that structure is super important. We go by the same schedule every day here, and when I go home, I try to implement some things. I won't wake up at 6 a.m. at home, but I'll wake up at, say, 10 a.m. every day at home, and then 12 p.m. on the weekends. And I'll have a schedule, what I do at this time. Okay, so at 1 p.m., I go do this. 3 p.m., let's go do this. And I've noticed I've gotten a lot more done in a day. Before I came here, I didn't really see any progress in myself as a person, besides I was just growing. But after I came here, I saw a lot of progress in myself as a person, because I had that schedule. And once you get used to that schedule, it takes about a week or two to get used to it. But once you get used to it, you can make a lot of progress, and you can change that schedule on how you want. And I think learning how to organize your life is super important, especially when you get a job when you're older, or even in college. You need to learn how to organize yourself. Okay, this needs to be done then, so tomorrow I don't have to worry about it, or it's due tomorrow. And it really helps you just build basic skills that you need for life that I don't think I would have had, and I've really struggled with learning somewhere else. And I'm glad I learned it here than learning it at college or at my job, where something could be put at risk. Here I learned it, and I got help learning it by my other chain of command that's higher ranked than me. And now I'm in a position to go help other people learn how to do their schedule. So I think that's one very important thing I took away from the school.
Very good. Well said, Bondar. Thank you for sharing that. That was, again, I couldn't have said it better myself. And that's one thing we try to do here, is we try to instill in these guys, again, those core values, those things that they can take into college: good study habits, being studious, being respectful, being a productive citizen in society, and getting up and doing what you need to do, not being late, just carrying yourself with a general aptitude for awareness and everything else. So well said. There's another good question from Michelle. As far as how we set up accepting of various faiths and diversity, I want to say that we're basically a direct reflection of the United States as a whole. So we have guys coming from all over. We have representation this year from 32 different states and 5 different countries. So we've got all walks of life here. And again, we are very much so. Going back to when I talked about chapel, we've got a non-denominational service. We even have certain religions that we have guys that they come here and they can't enter a chapel. So we have a prayer room for them. So we are very accepting of all walks of life. And, all our young men are not the same. They're coming from all kinds of backgrounds. And the one thing is, when they get here, they have a common ground. They are here with their other guys. We talk about brotherhood a lot. They're connecting with guys. They're learning things from guys. They're taking things from each other that can improve their lives, or, maybe learning and experiencing things that they wouldn't have got to experience in their little corner of the world. So I hope that answers that question, to the best of my capacity. This is a really good question right here. And this is from Facebook, and this is Monica from Facebook. I think this is a great question, and I'm going to let every single one of the seniors answer this question. So, Giuliano, I'm going to start with you. What do your parents think about the transformation from when you first got here to CMA to now? And so, I want you to reflect on that, and I want you to tell me just how do your parents feel about the Giuliano that first came here compared to the one that's going to be leaving here in about a month?
Well, I remember my freshman year of high school. My mom was really disappointed. My parents were very disappointed in me. I was failing. I was hanging out with the wrong people. I wouldn't do the right thing, back-talking my parents, back-talking my siblings. I had no relationship with my brother or sister at all. They would barely talk to me. And I got sent to Camden my sophomore year of high school. And I came back, and my mom saw a little bit of a progression. But what I have to say is Camden, it does not take just 1 year, boom, and then send them back to normal private public school and think that everything's going to be okay. What I have to say is, from my experience, it takes multiple years for it to instill and muscle memory and actually keep and maintain your structure and awareness of what you're saying and doing outside of Camden. But no, I remember coming back from maybe senior year winter break, and my mom got me off the plane, and she saw me in my travel uniform, and I think that was the day that we found out that I was going to get second lieutenant, and I was going to get a sword. And I remember looking at my mom and saying, "Hey, Mom, you excited to see me?" And she just started going in tears of how proud she was. She couldn't even speak in words. She was hugging me and praising me, and she said, "Listen, I'm so proud of you." I think that's what I really like. Like, that's what every kid needs to strive for, seeing their parents so proud of them. That's what I strive for, trying to win, do my best in everything, do my best in academics, do my best in the classroom, on the sports field, in life, just knowing that my parents are proud. And that's the biggest accomplishment I can get at CMA. It's not the rank, or it's not the grades, or it's not the sports or how many sports teams you beat. Those are great things, and those do come with Camden. But I think the best thing is just seeing your parents proud and your siblings proud, and just seeing them so proud of your accomplishments and recognizing what you did. And that's something that I really look forward to graduating and seeing all my family there and seeing my mom's just proud that I graduated.
And Giuliano, thank you so much for sharing that. And I can only imagine how proud they are of you, because, like I said, that's one thing too. Just me, I'm a little bit younger, and I'm a dad of my own. I have a 3-year-old boy, but I always joke around and say that some of these guys were my first sons. So I've seen them kind of evolve into the guys they are today, especially as seniors. And again, we're proud of you. And so I can only imagine as a parent how proud they are of you. So, parents, I want to ask you that same question. What are the biggest transformations your parents have seen in you in your time here at CMA? And, just compare you to how you were when you came and when you're leaving. What do your parents think of you now?
Well, in general, my first year or so here, they didn't. They saw change. They liked the change I started having. I started I listened to them more. I was more respectful. They saw that I was starting to change in a positive path. When I returned for my second year and came back, they were very pleased with my transformation. They said, "This is exactly how we thought. We love all the new things, how much more courteous, how much more respectful you are to everyone and everything around you." And at that point, they said I didn't have to return. And I said I wanted to have these ideals truly into me, have myself truly to the full potential. As I thought, if I came back to normal public school, I might start slipping, might start returning. I thought, you know what, I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to graduate. I'm going to finish up here, and I'm going to show them exactly the perfect in the sense of how they want me to be. Not in a sense that not necessarily it's a bad thing. For me, I find myself looking at myself as I've made the right decision. I've made positive strides to my future. Even at my young age, even though I'm still in high school, I can see myself using almost all the things I've learned here as a true sense of myself in the real world, outside of Camden, outside of anything around that. And my parents see that too. My parents tell me how proud they are and how thankful that I decided to stick it out, and thankful I did everything I could to stay, make sure I did everything I could to give this opportunity the most I can and not just throw it out the window. I made sure of it, as they said, do everything you want, do everything you can. I made sure I did all my clubs I want. I did all the clubs. I became the president of almost every single club on the campus, became the captain of the track team. I really did all these things and put myself to a real test, a real focus to see how well I could push myself. My parents found it to be the best thing I could ever done.
Very good, Parrish, and thank you so much for sharing. Definitely, and you've accomplished a lot in your time here, and that can be seen on some of the things that you just described. And again, that uniform looks really sharp. Mr. Bondar, I'm going to give you the same question, but change it up just a little bit. So, one of the things I want to ask you, and you're going to kind of kick us off on this one, is how do you what is something here at CMA that you're going to miss, or when you're looking back next year, when you're at the Citadel and you're in college and you're kind of looking back on CMA, what's going to be something that you miss? Because I know there's something you might not miss everything, but what's something that you're going to miss about Camden Military?
I think definitely the relationships I build with people here. I know I'll get more in college, but this was my first time ever being away from home for this long, and I'm gonna miss the people I met here. Really strong connections. I'm still gonna communicate with them after I get out of here, but it's just I don't think it's gonna be the same. I mean, here I literally live with them. I wake up and they're some of the first faces I see when I wake up. Some of the last faces I see before I go to bed. um, they're in my classroom. I'm always building relationships with them, and I think that's something I'm gonna miss for sure. Um, from here, and then for my parents, I think it's night and day difference since I came here. Before I came here, I was like super lazy. I think that's a good, yeah, super lazy. I never wanted to do anything hard. I just always wanted to be like feel comfortable and just kind of cruise through life. And I didn't really care what would happen if I just was so comfortable all the time. And then I came here and realized being uncomfortable is good. It helps you learn. It builds character. Being uncomfortable. Um, and I remember when I first came back from my junior year, my dad's like a super stoic man, so he doesn't like showing emotions, but I could see it on his face that he was like really happy. And my mom told me about the things he said about me, which if I didn't come here, I don't think would ever be said. So I'm really happy about that. I'm definitely gonna miss the people here and the lessons I learned here. It's like experiencing all these things for the first time, like experiencing leadership for the first time, experiencing a good schedule for the first time. I'm gonna miss those feelings of really learning like something new every day.
Very good. And that's what I hear from a lot of guys too, is just that's the big thing. I mean, you meet guys here that, for example, like Parrish, you've been here for 4 years, and even Bondar, that's 2 years of your life that you've spent, getting up in the morning to going to bed at night with some of the same guys. And, that's impactful. It's more than you think. So I definitely think that a lot of guys I hear say that that's one thing that I miss about Camden. So one thing I do, we had a question come in. Actually, had a couple of questions, so I might can address 2 or 3 people about IEPs and 504s. Yes, we have students. So one thing that coming in, if you'll submit that to us and send it in to us, we'll definitely look it over. A lot of the things that we implement in the classroom already cover some of the things that are on those IEPs. So, individualized learning, smaller class sizes, extra time on tests and stuff, we can do that. So we will take a look at it because of us being a private school. We don't have to go by that verbatim, but we will do our best to accommodate some of the things listed there too. Okay, so yes, we do. If you'll just submit that in the application process to us. So I want to do this. Giuliano, I want you to answer the question that Bondar answered is, what's something you're going to miss most about CMA? What's something that is, maybe going to have you looking back on the good old days when you get there?
Oh, man, there's so many. I can't even choose. Definitely going off of what SOC Bondar said, the relationships that you make at Camden, I've been waking up with, the same guys here at CMA for about 3 years at 6 o'clock in the morning and seeing their face every day. I could put a few names. Lieutenant Bryant, my roommate, I've lived in my room for 3 years, like the whole time. And he's XO Carey of Alpha Company. I'm definitely going to miss him waking up in the morning and seeing his face every day. Captain Corsi is a great example. He's one of my friends that I've seen all the time. And, it's awesome to see my friends go through the rank as I did. I remember when we were all sergeants and corporals and just falling into formation, and now we're leading our own formation. So it's definitely a path that everyone takes. But one thing I have to say, we call each other friends here at CMA. I don't really agree with that. I call ourselves brothers. And the friends you're going to make here at CMA are going to be your long-lasting friends, whether they connect with you at home or at college or at a sporting event, or if you're in town and they want to see you. I remember going home for first furlough, and I had no one ever talking to me through my furlough. And I remember the one person that called me is my roommate, XO Carey. He is definitely, and he asked me, did I get off the plane okay? Did I make it home safe? And that meant a lot to me. And I remember that to the day I pass on. But definitely the friendships that I've made here, I'm going to miss them.
Very good. And it looks like you, during that time, you did get a shout out from your parents talking about how proud they were of you. So I know they're watching. And one thing I want to do is to kind of bring everything in. I want to start. I'll pass it over to Parrish and let him do it. But Parrish, what do you want to say to your parents? Give them a shout out or tell them what you want to say as senior captain Parrish. What would you like to say to your parents?
2 words that I cannot say enough. Thank you. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for entrusting me. Camden is an investment for my future. I thank them almost every time I'm home. I thank them about it. This is the place that I was just meant to be at. Though I did not agree my first 2 years here that this was not the place. This is not me. This is not where I need to be. I decided to stick through it. Once I decided to stick through it, I've really shown exactly what I'm capable of. I just want to thank them for believing in me in every step of the way. They help me, call them every few days, get in touch with them, see how everything's going at home. I tell them if I have any troubles or struggles at school. They're always there to boost me back up, tell me I'm doing great.
Very good. Cadet Bondar, anything you want to say to your parents? Give them a shout out or say anything to them?
Yeah, same thing that Captain Paris said. Thank you. I would have never sent myself here by choice. They made me go here. And when I first got here, I thought to myself, well, I'm here. I'm not going to get out of here, so I'm going to make the best of it. And I did. And I mean, I'm sure that they're very happy that they sent me here too. They changed the whole course of my life. Before I came here, I was not en route to go to any good college. Now I'm en route to go to a very good military academy in South Carolina after this. So that's the same thing that he has to say. Thank you. I mean, I'm really glad that I stuck through, and I'm glad that I tried everything I could my first year. Just in my second year, I got ranked up for top 7 in my leadership for my company. And I'm glad that they kept pushing me through. They kept supporting me, telling me, all right, you got this. No matter how hard it gets, you got to keep pushing this, and that. And I'm glad that they were hard on me about doing this. It really built me as a person and helped me grow as a man.
Very good, and thank you so much, Bandar, for sharing that. And I think that's a good place to end it, guys. I really do appreciate you being on here tonight. Talking about your time here, you guys have done something again, like I said at the beginning, that not a lot of other guys can say that they've done. And I know you've all got bright futures ahead of you. I'm proud of you. I know your parents are proud of you, and thank you so much for speaking tonight for it. So, a couple of things I want to talk about before we wrap it up. We are, a little past the hour. I want to talk about a couple things. Camden Military Academy, it is a sacrifice. It is a sacrifice both emotionally and financially. It's a sacrifice, but I think Parrish made a good point. He said it's an investment in his future, and that's what we always try to tell parents. This is a sacrifice that you're making on your end, and we understand that, but we want to do everything we possibly can to build your young man into the most productive citizen, senior graduate man that he can become. So we understand where you're coming from, and I think talking to these seniors tonight, that's just proof of that. Also, speaking of finance, I did get some questions about financial aid. So financial aid is done in our application process. If you're interested in financial aid or want to pursue that, we've got a section of our application that you can fill out that just notifies us that you are interested in the financial aid process. Of course, you can also, these virtual open houses are great. They're very informative. I hope we've answered many of the questions we can get to tonight. If we didn't get to your question, feel free to reach out to us. That's perfectly fine. I'll have a phone call with you. I'll have a one-on-one with you. Down at the bottom of the screen, the admissions at camdenmilitary.com. You can email at any time. Also, enroll. That is my email, ENROLL at camdenmilitary.com. Also, anytime you want to schedule an individual campus tour on campus, come see us, see what we're all about. We're also going to be traveling around. So our Dean of Enrollment and Administration, Mr. Casey Robinson, he's going to be up north. He'll be in Columbus, Ohio, and Chicago, Illinois this weekend. So Saturday and Sunday, he'll be in those two places. If you'd like to RSVP for one of those open house events, you can do so on our website. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys in person and talking to you soon. Thanks again.